And as it has been since the budget, the energy prices were a big part of today's exchanges.
Yeah, got to say, as I predicted, that on one side you've got the opposition saying, what are you going to do about these energy prices? Businesses are suffering. On the other, the government's only counter to that at the moment, at least, is, well, our industrial relations legislation that you're opposing is about lifting wages. We supported aged care workers getting a pay rise. They got a 15% pay rise. That is the narrative of Question Time at the moment. So let's hear Peter Dutton's first question. He uses a mum and dad example to Anthony Albanese about the difficulties for business at the moment.
Will the Prime Minister apologise to families and businesses like the one Louis and Tess run for not delivering on his $275 commitment to cut electricity prices?
The failure of those opposite to actually build enough supply to generate power in the country because they were too busy worried about power struggles within themselves. But the second, of course, is, and this might be a news release for those opposite, the fact of the Russian invasion of Ukraine has led to global power prices.
So you see there, Peter Dutton had his mum and dad example when it came to power bills during Question Time. Anthony Albanese came armed with his. The two aged care workers he met on the weekend who got the 15% rise supported by the Labor government.
On the weekend, on the Sunshine Coast, I met with Deb and Glenn. They told me how much this pay rise means for them. Aged care workers who go to work, who love their work, who love the people that they care for. They certainly don't do it for the money. They do it for their care for fellow Australians.
The Prime Minister there in Question Time. One of the issues they've got on the workplace laws is it's not just the opposition that has the concerns. Members of the crossbench, David Pocock, Jackie Lambie, and in the lower house as well, asking some questions.
And in the lower house, we know it doesn't matter. Labor has the thinnest of majorities. In the Senate, of course, it matters with David Pocock. But it's interesting, I just thought to show this view from the crossbench here. A lot of noise, I guess, the crossbench, which you're alluding to, Kieran, which says to the public at large, well, have they got this right? So this question from Allegra Spender, the member for Wentworth.
Does the Prime Minister agree that real effective wage rises in low-paid industries can be achieved through the awards, as has been shown this week in the Aged Care Awards, rather than through complex IR legislation that wasn't taken to the election, brings in small business and may delay wage rises in protracted negotiations?
I think it is, though, not credible to say that we did not take our policy to lift wages to the election. We were very, very clear that we wanted to lift wages. We were clear that we would make submissions to the Fair Work Commission about those on the minimum wage, about those in the aged care workforce. We were very clear that we would make secure work an objective of the Fair Work Act.
One thing that we're waiting for with the government is when will they provide their response on the energy price shock? Because you're going to be with the Prime Minister at the end of the week. He's off to the APEC, G20. That's over a week in Southeast Asia. The energy ministers at the climate talks in Egypt. So we're thinking a couple of weeks away, isn't it?
Yeah, the overseas travel gets in the way again. We've seen this already in the life of this government. That's how it feels. So Angus Taylor, the Shadow Treasurer, former Energy Minister, on the attack on this again. Anthony Albanese's point to him is you buried a 20% electricity price rise that the Australian Energy Regulator was allowing until after the election. He has a point there. And Angus Taylor's saying, well, hang on, when are you going to take responsibility? You were the ones, or you were the leader who said, we will take responsibility in government. It was a line often used during the campaign by Anthony Albanese. He's going to start to have to more, I think. Another gag here from Anthony Albanese. He tried a few today, but it was a pretty flat Question Time. He didn't get a huge number of laughs.
Will the Prime Minister take responsibility for a budget with no plans to deal with these pressures?
They say all roads lead to Rome, but all road scholarships clearly don't lead anywhere.